How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Summer is sadly over and we are looking forward to the hell that is winter. For me personally, I love summer because I just love being out in the sun. Winter is like hell for me because it's just cold and depressing. But before we get into the wintertime, we still got a couple of months left. So with summer being in our rearview mirrors, I'm going to be ranking all the summer movies that I saw this year. Now there are some movies that I sadly had to miss out, like Didi. That is one movie that I'm still looking forward to seeing, but I quite frankly missed the boat on that movie. So these are the 20 movies that I saw over the summer. I have reviews for most of these on the channel, so I'm going to be putting the links down in the description box below. So let's go ahead and get started with the ranking. Coming in at number 20, I have The Strangers Chapter 1. What's most likely going to end up being my number one worst film of the year is going to be the worst film that I saw over the summer. This movie was a beat-by-beat remake of the original Strangers film, trying to start up Strangers trilogy, kind of giving you answers as to who the strangers are, what are their motivations as to why they started killing. Quite frankly, those are questions I don't want answered, and judging by the movie, those are questions I still don't want answered. The characters are ridiculously stupid, they make dumb choices, and quite frankly, there was nothing in here that made me want to look forward to the next two Stranger movies that will probably end up on streaming. Coming in at number 18, I have The Crow. I was probably in a minority looking forward to this movie because I'm somebody that didn't grow up with the Brandon Lee Crow movie, so I like what they were trying to go for. I appreciate the attempt of them trying something new instead of being a beat-by-beat remake of the original film, but it just missed the boat on a lot of things. The characters are not likable, they don't have any chemistry. There are some great bloody sequences towards the end of the movie, but that doesn't save the movie from being a boring time to being a fun time, because everything else in between was just boring, slow, nothing was really drawing my attention, and quite frankly, I just hated being in this movie. Coming in at number 18, I have It Ends With Us. This is a movie that I kind of checked out late. I was kind of interested because I'm not somebody that reads books. If anything, I am somebody that reads either the Playboy magazines, the Victoria's Secrets catalog, or Dr. Seuss books. So going into this movie, I knew the themes that this movie was going to be taking, but quite frankly, I think it missed on a lot of the things that they were trying to shed light on. The first half of this movie is a rom-com, kind of into the groove. You kind of like the chemistry between Blake Lively's character and Justin Baldoni's character, and then we go into a magnificent shift towards the second half of the film, and it just comes out of nowhere, where you have this domestic violence subplot coming out of fucking nowhere, because leading up to that point it was all nice, fuzzy, warming. I was really into it and I was waiting for that shift to happen, but it just happened so far into the late that you're forced to hate this guy for what he's doing to Blake Lively's characters, whose character I quite frankly forgot her name from, but then it goes into that little shift. It becomes a love triangle towards the last half of this movie, and I like the approach that they were trying to go for, but it missed on what they were trying to say. This movie was supposed to be a message about domestic violence, and quite frankly, it just missed that mark completely, because that subplot just comes out of nowhere and you have no idea what kind of movie it turns out to be towards the last half of this movie. Coming in at number 17, I have Trap. Kind of like It Ends With Us, I really like the first half of this movie. I don't hate it as much as a lot of people. There are things in here that I can appreciate them going for. M. Night Shyamalan wanted to give his daughter a platform, so he gave her a full Eras Tour experience, and then we leave the concert, and then it just becomes incredibly goofy, where it just feels like it loses a lot of the momentum and it almost ruins the entire movie for me. The reason why it's kind of this low is because I was still having a lot of fun with the first half. Josh Hartnett was definitely the highlight of this movie. He is the thing that made this movie work for me, and that is why it's kind of this low, but at the same time, it's not even lower just because of Josh Hartnett. Coming in at number 16, I have Blink Twice. This is Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut, and while I like this movie, it's not one that I'm going to be raving about for the end of the year. It's not going to end up being one of my top 10 favorite films of the year, but like with It Ends With Us, I appreciate what Zoe Kravitz was going for in this movie. There was just a lot of mishmash of 85 different movies coming in together to make this movie. And while I think there are strong elements that Zoe Kravitz brings to the director's chair, I think for the most part, it kind of falls flat. For the first half of this movie, you're kind of bored, even though you're still interested in the mystery and wanting to know what's actually going on. Channing Tatum is absolutely fantastic. And god damn it, I forgot who the lead is. I'll put the name right here. But she was fantastic. There are things that I really enjoy about this movie. It's just one that I don't have the need to rewatch, and quite frankly, I don't think I'm going to be rewatching it anytime soon. Coming in at number 15, I have The Bike Riders. This was a movie that I was looking forward to because you have a strong cast in here. You have Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, and Austin Butler, plus other cast members from Nora Reedus to Michael Shannon. And I really like the subject matter that they were going for. I kind of love this type of themes, but it wasn't what I wanted this movie to be. It kind of was a bit of a melodrama for me personally. There are aspects about this movie that I can appreciate them going for, and I like some moments in here. I just don't think they went far enough with this material in order for me to love it as much as I wanted to. It's probably one that I can rewatch on a rainy day if I'm really that bored. But other than that, it was just a big disappointment for me. I wanted them to go a little bit stronger with the themes and the material that they wanted to go for. They throw in this kid at the end of the movie that I just don't give a shit about, and I just wanted more out of this movie. Coming in at number 14, I have If, a movie that was probably one of my most anticipated films of the year. The trailer looked fantastic. I wanted to see what John Krasinski was going to do outside of the Quiet Place franchise, and quite frankly, for me personally, it missed. I really like the fact that they were trying to go for this heartwarming story about a kid that loses her mom and is afraid that she's going to lose her dad. And I like the themes that they were going for. I was just not able to really get emotionally connected to the characters because, quite frankly, I don't think uh, the girl that plays John Krasinski's daughter in this movie, I don't think they had the chemistry. I wanted them to explore the imaginary friends aspect a little bit stronger than they actually did. They basically don't do much with the imaginary friends. They're just there to be an emotional hook, and that emotion was not there for me. Wanted this to be in the highest of highs for me, for not just of the summer but for the year. And quite frankly, this was another summer disappointment for me. Coming in at number 13, I have A Quiet Place Day One. I was really looking forward to because I really enjoyed the first two Quiet Place movies. Another summer disappointment. I appreciate them. I feel like I'm going to be saying this so many times because I really do appreciate them swinging for the fences and trying something new. I appreciate them trying something with Lupita Nyong'o's character. This is a character who is going to be hitting so close to home, not just for the actor, but for everybody that knows the tragedy surrounding Chadwick Boseman. And it's fine. I was able to get some scares here and there. I was just not the biggest fan of the overarching story. I was not able to get emotionally connected. I just did not care, and it's just one that I liked, but it's not one that I want to be rewatching anytime soon. At number 12, I saw the TV Glow, and I think I might be in the minority that enjoys this a little bit more than a lot of people. The things about self-exploration and being in loneliness and isolation, I really can get behind because that's kind of how I'm starting to live my life nowadays. But I love that they were trying to tackle some themes in here that could have gone a little bit south, and they probably go south for a lot of people. I really love the artistic side. I think there is a great meltdown towards the end of the movie. Some creepy images here and there that I really loved. But overall, this was a movie that I was really surprised at because I went into this movie not had seen any other trailers. Didn't really know what the movie was ultimately about, and I really came out enjoying this a little bit more than probably most will because it's definitely going to be polarizing amongst a lot of people. For me, I got a real big kick out of this movie. Coming in at number 11, I have Maxine. I'm not the biggest fan of the X trilogy. I think the first one is fine for what it is. Pearl I really enjoy significantly more, and it kind of made me change my outlook on a character in a movie, and that is the character of Pearl in X. So I was really looking forward to Maxine because I really love the murder mystery aspect of this movie, and I love that each X movie is kind of different. You have X that is kind of like the grindhouse feeling movie. You have Pearl that is kind of like the Wizard of Oz Technicolor kind of movie, and then you have Maxine that is the murder mystery aspect of the X trilogy. And this was going to be the concluding chapter to the X trilogy. We were going to be getting answers. We were going to progress Maxine's character arc in here. And while I like about, I say, a good 75% of this movie, once we get into the last half, it kind of starts going downhill for me because once we get answers as to who the killer is, what the killer's motivation, it kind of lost me a little bit because the performance of this character was hammed up so much that it just felt out of place and it just felt like a cartoon. I like that there are aspects about this movie. I like how bloody it went. There are some gnarly kills in here. Mia Goth is definitely a presence in here, and I'm really looking forward to see what she does next. But this one was, even though it was an improvement over X for me personally, I still enjoyed it a little bit more than I thought it would. I would have just tweaked the last 20-30 minutes because I have no idea what the hell happened in the last 30 minutes of this movie. Coming in at number 10, I have Longlegs. I think I might enjoy this a little bit more than a lot of people. I really love Nicolas Cage's performance. I love that they hit him for a majority of this movie, and whenever he was on screen, they would just show the mouth down. The opening of this movie is one of the most chilling and haunting openings of the year. I love everything that they were going for, and I think Oz Perkins did a really good job of giving us that vintage feel for this movie. And also Mika Monroe's performance in this movie was fantastic. I know it's going to lose a lot of people when they throw in the supernatural aspects of this movie. There are things that I really enjoyed that a lot of people probably didn't like. I love that you were able to pick out some hidden meanings here and there. But overall, it's one that I was really surprised by and I really enjoyed a lot more than a lot of people. Coming in at number 9, I might get a little flag for this movie, but I have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I like this movie. I just don't love it as much as a lot of people. And I'm not sure how much of it has to do with the fact that it underperformed and people think that it deserves so much more. And it does deserve a lot more because it's a really fun movie. Even though it is an incredibly long movie, it's about 2.5 hours. You kind of start feeling the pace of this movie. The reason it's kind of this low and not higher, like Mad Max probably would have been, is because this movie is broken up into like 4 or 8 chapters, one of the two. And those chapters are great. The issue with those chapters is that we're trying to move the story along and the chapters along, that sometimes some chapters don't get the full story that they deserve, and it just feels like they just cut it down because we try to progress it in order for it to not be 3 hours long. And it just kind of felt like that, and it felt repetitive for me. Once Anya Taylor-Joy comes in, that is where the movie starts to pick up a little bit more steam. I love the sound effects, the way that the cars sound, a lot of the action sequences, even though they are on green screen sometimes, I still enjoyed a lot of the action sequences in here. And Nyla Brown, I believe, is who plays young Furiosa. She absolutely kills it because the first half of this movie, at least like about a good hour of this movie, it all hinges on her performance. And if her performance sucked ass, then this movie would have fell apart before we got into Anya Taylor-Joy's performance. But thank God she killed it in this movie. She had a movie earlier in the year with Sting. She was great in that movie too. And I think this movie is solid. It's just not one that I think should be overhyped, or it's not going to end up being as one of my top 10 favorite films of the year. That's probably going to get me a lot of flack, but that's just me. I like it. I just don't love it as much as a lot of people. Definitely deserve to do better at the box office. Coming in at number 8, I have Bad Boys for Life. Bad Boys Ride or Die is a movie that I saw super late into the pandemic because I missed it when it was in theaters. They re-released it in theaters during the pandemic, and I was able to catch it on the big screen. and I had a lot of fun with that movie. It was the first Bad Boys movie that I saw, and I just had a lot of fun with that movie. So we were coming into this movie 2 years after the slap. We were trying to see if this movie was going to perform as well as the other movie did, and it did. I think it did a little bit better than Bad Boys for Life, but this movie was a lot of fun. It's a little bit slow at the beginning, but once we get into the action and the story of this movie, I really enjoyed it. I think the chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is still there even after so many years. I didn't love the villain played by Eric Dane, I believe. Wasn't the biggest fan of the villain in here, but that is just one of the negatives for this movie. I loved a lot of the action sequences in here, and Reggie finally got the respect that he finally deserved after all these years. Coming in at number 7, I have Twisters. I didn't watch the original Twister up until a couple of days before I went to go see Twisters, and I had a lot of fun with this movie. Glenn Powell is definitely on a hot streak right now, coming off of Top Gun Maverick. I am a big fan of Daisy Edgar Jones. I loved her in her show Normal People, and I think for what she did in Where the Crawdads Sings, I thought she did a pretty fine job in that movie, and she continues in here. The chemistry between not just her and Glenn Powell, but also the chemistry between her and Anthony Ramos. The movie was a lot of fun. I love a lot of the tornado sequences. There are some moments here and there where it starts to pull your little heartstrings. You do have to suspend your disbelief a little bit more in this movie than you did in the original film. But I still had a lot of fun with this movie. Is it a perfect movie? Absolutely not. But it definitely is the perfect summer movie that you had to go out to see in theaters. Coming in at number 6, I have The Fall Guy. This is a movie that was also on my anticipated list. Ryan Gosling coming off of Barbie. Love Ryan Gosling, love Emily Blunt, the chemistry between these two, and it was a perfect love letter to the unsung heroes, but also wrapped up in a fun little rom-com. The chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt was there, but not only between both of them, because I also love the chemistry between him and Winston Duke in here. The action sequences were a lot of fun. Definitely a little bit long towards the last half of this movie, but it's a movie that is charming, funny, it's action packed. The soundtrack is fantastic, and it's definitely another movie of the summer that definitely deserved to do so much better. Coming in at number 5, I have Alien Romulus. I have never seen any of the Alien movies. This is the first Alien movie that I see, and it was a lot of fun. As somebody that is not going into this movie hoping that I will be able to catch on the Easter eggs and nostalgia for the original films, I just wanted to see what Fede Alvarez was going to do in this movie, because I really love the fact that he was coming in to the horror genre yet again after doing Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, and he knocked that out of the park. There are ballsy things in here that some people will love, some things that people will hate. And I quite frankly enjoyed every single choice that was made in this movie, because I thought it took the risk, it went for it, and it paid off. There are some creepy sequences in here. A lot of the horror aspects shined a lot more. Kaylee Spaney was fantastic, and I forgot her android brother's name in this movie, but he was fantastic too. Isabel Merced coming in here trying to take off the Madam Web stink that she had earlier this year, and it definitely went away as soon as she was on screen and she let out her first yell, one of the most chilling yells that I've seen in a horror movie today. And I just really enjoyed this movie. I've seen it twice now, and I have a lot of fun with this movie. Definitely goes for those risks, and it paid off for me. Coming in at number 4, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I was really worried about this movie because we were leaving the Caesar era of the Planet of the Apes and following new characters in a new era, seeing how they were going to do. You have Wes Ball coming in here after doing 3 Maze Runner movies, and he absolutely killed it. The way that I describe this movie is that this was the rise of the New Hopeful trilogy. It's slow moving. You're trying to get adjusted to these characters. You're trying to get on board, see how it pays off, and it paid off great. Kind of wish we had a little bit more of the villain in here. Kind of wish he had a little bit more of a bigger presence. But everything else about this movie, I really absolutely loved. It was a slow moving character piece that just keeps you engaged from beginning to end. And there is not a boring moment in sight because you're so gravitated to this new world, to this new era, seeing where we're going to be going in the next, hopefully, trilogy. Or maybe I think they said that they wanted to do like four more or something like that. I'm hoping that they're able to do four more because I really love this movie and I wanted to see where the story goes. But it's definitely one of my biggest surprises of the year because I was really excited for it, but I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about following a new character in Noah. And as soon as he appears on screen, I was sold. I want to follow this new character for the next couple of films, and hopefully we get those films. Coming in at number 3 is my biggest surprise of the year and of the summer, Strange Darling. I went into this movie knowing very little. I remember watching a trailer for this movie, but I vaguely remember what the movie was about. I thought it was just fucking phenomenal. This is definitely going to end up being my biggest surprise of the year. Hopefully, unless there's another movie that comes out, and in that case, if there's another movie that comes out that is able to equally surprise me, it's going to be a great year for movies because it was just this movie keeps you on your toes from beginning to end. I'm somebody that doesn't love the non-linear storytelling. The way they do it in this movie keeps you engaged and wrapped, thrilled from beginning to end. This is a deadly cat and mouse game that some people will probably find it predictable. I quite frankly had it a little bit spoiled for me before I even went to go see the movie, but that did not take away from the excitement that I had. Giovanni Ribisi did a great job with the cinematography for this movie. He absolutely killed it, and I can't wait to see what else he shoots because he did a masterpiece of a work being shot on 35 millimeter. I know a lot of people don't really care about that or really give a shit about it. I quite frankly, I do. I am probably in the minority alongside with Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan. But the way the movie was shot, the performances between Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner were fantastic. It kept you on your toes from beginning to end, and it just didn't let up till the closing credits of this movie. Coming in at number 2, Deadpool and Wolverine. I fucking loved this movie. I've seen it twice now, and it's funny every single time. The first time actually that I went to go see this movie, I was high. So there were some things that I had to rewatch because there were some jokes that I kind of missed, but I still have a lot of fun with this movie. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were fantastic. The chemistry between these two were great. The banter was great. The cameos served a purpose for this movie. Kind of wanted a little bit more of Cassandra Nova because I felt she was kind of underutilized in this movie. But really, you're going for this movie just for Deadpool and Wolverine. This is a team up that we have been waiting for since the original film. This is their kind of like redoing of X-Men Origins Wolverine, where you had Deadpool who had his mouth shut. Now we have these two again on the big screen. And even though watching it now and watching some clips on TikTok, it still feels like a dream. It still feels like we haven't even gotten this movie because I don't think we ever would have pictured that this movie would ever happen. And the fact that it actually did happen, it's still a dream come true. This was a great introduction to Deadpool in the MCU, but it was also a beautiful goodbye to the 20th Century Fox X-Men era. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of get choked up at the end credits, seeing the old footage of that era, seeing a young Ryan Reynolds, a young Hugh Jackman, brought me back to my childhood. I know a lot of people don't love a lot of those films in that era. Some of them I still hold a special place in my heart, but at number 2, I have Deadpool and Wolverine. But my number 1 film of the year is Inside Out. What's most likely going to end up being my number 1 favorite film of the year. I know a lot of people were probably worried about this movie because they didn't want it to rehash what we got in the first film. But if for those that had seen Riley's first date, it was a little short where Riley goes on her first date with Jordan, I believe, the kid at the end of Inside Out. They go on the first date, and when I saw that short, I'm just like, you can do a lot more in this world, and I kind of want to see what they do a little bit more. And they just knocked it out of the park, bringing in a couple of new emotions in here from anxiety, embarrassment, ennui, and I can't remember who the I think the other one was Envy. I was really hoping this movie wouldn't have been like a PG version of Big Mouth on Netflix, but it wasn't that. It tackled themes in the same way that the first film tackled themes, but there are some lines in here that just hit you to your core, especially if you're growing older like I am. There are some moments in here where it's just hits you in your feels. It brings out the classic Pixar magic that we've been missing for a couple of years now. I know that Elemental last year brought some of that here and there, and I really enjoyed that movie for what that movie was. But Inside Out tackled themes in ways that I was not prepared. Even though there were some things here and there that I knew about before going into this movie, it still didn't ruin the experience for me. I was still bawling my eyes out at the end of the movie, and if they do another Inside Out movie, which seeing the box office repeat, like I'll give you like 1.6 billion reasons why they should do an Inside Out 3. I absolutely love this movie. It might end up being my favorite film of the year, but for now, it's my number one favorite film of the summer. It brought out everything that I wanted this movie to bring out, and it just knocked it out of the park. But those are my rankings of the summer films that I saw this year. Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below if you made it this far, and let me know what are some of your favorite films that you saw this summer. I'm counting the summer from the beginning of May till the end of August, so between that timeline, that is kind of my summer timeline. So let me know down in the comments what your favorite summer movies are and what are you looking forward to for the rest of the year. Drop those thoughts down there, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.